Volume is a measure of how much it would take to fill up a container. Some shapes are widely used, like a cereal box or a Kleenex box. Boxes like this that have sides that all look like a rectangle are called rectangular prisms. The formula to find the volume of a rectangular prism is, well, the first thing you do is find the area of the base. And then that dot means you multiply it by the height. Now, the reason I'm writing it like this is because sometimes you have shapes like this. And the way you would find the volume of this is I would do the area of the base. Well, what does that base look like? A circle. So you would use the formula to find the area of the circle and then multiply it by the height. Today, we're only going to work with shapes like this, all right? What's that base right there? If I sit the prism down like this, what's that base right there? What's that shape? Rectangle. How do you find the area of a rectangle? Base times height, okay? So it's the area of that base that it's sitting on, base times height, and then we multiply it by this other dimension, how tall it is, okay? Now, the formula that you see more widely used doesn't call that bottom base and height, even though it is a base and a height. It calls this bottom here length and width. It's how long it is and how wide it is, which is the same thing as base and height, right? It's just two names for the same thing. Okay? If I say, hey, Alexander, or hey, Brock, isn't it two names for the same thing? You know? So, this is the formula. I don't want you to get too locked up on a formula, but length times width times height, it just means the three different ways you could measure that. Okay? You could measure this container this way, right here, and this way, and this way. It's just three different numbers, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to play around with this. So imagine that base down there. I'm going to shade it in. It's a rectangle. What are the base and the height of the rectangle, or the length and the width of the rectangle?
15 and 5.5.
Well, if I'm looking at the base, 5.5 and 3. Now, if I'm just looking at the bottom there, it's 5.5 this way and 3 that way. That would be like it's 5.5 this way and 3 this way. And so I multiply the length and width together and then multiply it by the height. And your calculator will do all that work for you. So what'd you get? Really?
249.15.
There we go. Make sure you're hitting the times button, Mia. Try again. You may have had something left over in your calculator that. Got it? Okay. Now, watch this, guys. Are you watching? Are you listening?
Yes.
All right. That 5.5 is inches, and the 3 is measured in inches, and the 15.1 is measured in inches, right? So we multiplied 5.5 inches times 3 inches times 15.1 inches. How many times did we multiply inches together? 3 times. I want you to put inches with a little 3 up there. That's why when you measure volume, it's in cubic units. In this case, cubic inches. All right? So these next two are no more difficult, except for you have some fractions that you have to change to decimals, but that's no big deal. What's 2.5 as a decimal? How do you change? What is it, babe? Well, 2.5. Oh, up here. I'm sorry. You saw, yes. 1.5 would be the height. That's exactly right. Because it's to change a fraction to a decimal, it's just the top number divided by the bottom one. So I've got 1.5 inches times 3 inches times this 2.5. What is that as a decimal? 2.5 inches. And now your calculator is going to do the rest of the work for you. All right. And how many times did you multiply inches together? 3 times. So it's going to be 11.25 inches cubed.
Why is, wait, wouldn't 1.5 the 1.5 be the height? Because
It is, yes. So these two right here, the 3 times 2.5, that's the area of the base. And then it gets multiplied by the height.
so 3 is the, what is 3? I can't-
Well, these two right here, that's your length and your width. And the 1.5 is your height.
Oh, because I thought I did it out of order than what
Yeah,
was going on.
honey, it doesn't matter what order you do them in. That's a great point. Multiplication is commutative, meaning it doesn't matter what order you multiply them in. So you really just about can't mess these up unless you maybe write the same number down twice or you hit the wrong keys in your calculator. So number 3. 3.5 is 3.5 inches. 1.5, 1.5 inches. There's your length and width. And now we're going to multiply it by the height, which is 6 inches. And see what you get. That sounds about right. Yep, that's what I got too. 31.5 what? Inches cubed. Now I am going to want units on this. How many times did you multiply inches? So that's why you've got the little 3. Remember, an exponent shows repeated multiplication. So it's inches times inches times inches. Okay, everybody good? All right, now number 4 is different. Sometimes you'll know the entire volume of the box and be asked to find a missing dimension. And that's what we're going to do here in number 4 and number 5. So I'm going to start off with the formula. Volume equals length times width times height. Okay? I'm going to write the formula down. And then I'm going to put in the parts that I do know. Okay, this 3 and this 5, that's your length and your width. And see, we don't know the height. We don't have a number we can put in there. But I do know the volume. So in my formula, I'm going to take out the V, and what am I going to substitute in its place?
60.
I am going to put a 60 in there. I'm going to take out the length and put what in its place?
3.
3. Take out the width and put what in its place?
5.
5. Elena, I just love you talking to me, so I'm not up here talking to myself. Good job. So now it's just an algebra problem. Hey, you can multiply 3 times 5. What do you get?
15.
That's 15 times h, and I want to get h by itself, so what's the one step I need to do to get h all by itself?
15 times H.
That's right. And then to reverse multiplying by 15, what do we do?
15 times 16.
No, we're going to divide by 15. That's the opposite of the multiplication. That's what cancels those out and gets the height all by itself. And then when you do 60 divided by 15, what do you get? You put that in your calculator and you're going to get 4. The height is 4 feet.